Good morning. This is Taylor Himness coming to you from KSHB 41. I'm the morning anchor here at KSHB with another edition of Faith in KC. We've been doing these now for almost 3 years and glad to bring this latest episode to you. A note, by the way, to start. These will become a little bit more infrequent now because I've launched a new limited series podcast about the new terminal at KCI in its first year. So these will not necessarily come out every year. We feel like they have really met the goal of what we were trying to do when we started these. If I get a topic that I want to share with you on this particular subject, faith and its relations, and its space in KC and how people use and observe their own faiths in Kansas City, I'll share it with you, but they won't be as frequent now moving forward. This, not last probably, but maybe last for a little while one, is about the intersection of faith and art. There's a new musical production called Vilna, A Resistance Story that's going to be at the J in Kansas City at the Lewis and Shirley White Theater from April 22nd to April 30th. And I got a chance to talk to several of the creative minds behind it. Kevin Cloud is the writer and creator. You're going to hear from him. He's a guy here in Kansas City. Two non-Kansas City-based people who had a huge role in this. Lisa Grissom is a playwright and screenwriter, and David Winitsky is the director of the show. You're going to hear all three of them in this podcast talk about not only this story that deals with Jewish partisans and their resistance movement. I appreciate, by the way, their definition of partisan, and you will too, because I was not familiar with that term, in Poland and in Lithuania and in that part of the world during World War II. So I want to start by saying that I want to include that this is, not an easy story to tell, obviously, not a bright and happy story considering what was going on during that era to Jewish people. But this show is trying to strike a chord with especially young people, and they describe the upbeat music. I have not seen the show just yet, but I hope I get a chance to. But hearing their description, I think it would be worth your time. But really what I wanted to focus on too with them is that intersection of faith and art, because it's not a conversation we've been able to have during this series before. So enjoy that. Please leave me your comments. You can reach out to me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can email me at taylor.himness@kshb.com. Again, if you haven't checked these out before, go back and listen to some of the previous episodes. I've so enjoyed all these conversations. I hope to bring you more in the future as those opportunities come up. For now, enjoy this episode. And if you get a chance and are interested, go see the show. You can find ticket information online right now for Vilna, A Resistance Story. To be joined today by three people, which is rare for Faith in KC, and excited about this opportunity to talk about another thing that's rare for KC is a presentation of faith in art form. We've talked about churches and congregations and different ways that people exercise different faiths across Kansas City. We haven't talked a lot about where art intersects with faith, and we have a great opportunity to do that today with this show called Vilna, A Resistance Story. We'll talk about whenever you're able to watch that coming up. I'm joined today, as I mentioned in the intro, by Kevin Cloud. He is a lyricist and composer for this. Lisa Grissom, who's a playwright and screenwriter, and David Winitsky, who's going to direct this. You're going to hear all those voices during this conversation. Kevin, I'll start with you. You get the first question because you're the only Kansas City-based person on this call, other than myself. Where did this story come from? Tell me about how this first got started as, hey, we could put this story on the stage.
Yeah, so my wife and I write musicals. We're a writing team, and we had finished a previous project, and we were kind of just looking for a new idea. And I don't even know how I stumbled across it, but there was an article online that was called "The Song So Powerful That It Beat the Nazis." And immediately I was so intrigued about this, and it was all about this young poet and songwriter from a town called Vilna, which I'd never heard of. His name was Hirsch Glick. And he wrote this song that spread throughout all the ghettos in Eastern Europe during World War II, and even out into the forest where the partisan fighters were. And it became the anthem song for the partisan fighters of World War II. And I was just so inspired about this idea of a young songwriter who, even in the worst possible circumstances, continued to write, continued to believe that his work and his art could make a difference. And I just did a deep dive into this place called Vilna and absolutely fell in love with the town and the people that lived there, and this really incredible story of heroic resistance that sprung out of the ghetto in Vilna.
And Vilna's in Poland, correct?
No, it's actually in Lithuania.
In Lithuania, that's right. Okay, in Lithuania. And so, you used a term just there that I want to stop on for just a second, because I'm a minor history buff. I like history, but I am by no means an expert. But the term partisan fighter is one that I don't think I was familiar with until I started learning more about this show. What remind people what a partisan fighter is?
Yeah, Lisa, why don't you take this one? You're kind of the expert on this topic.
Sure. So partisans were and still are people that go to the forest. They actually fight and live from the forest. So there's actually a history of local populations that fight back for whatever's happening in their country, if there's an occupation or whatever, and they live in the forest and they fight from there. So they form brigades. And so during the Holocaust, there were partisan brigades in the forests, Russian brigades, Polish brigades, Lithuanian brigades. And there was, this story is about a Jewish brigade. So it's a lesser known aspect of Jewish history. And I think one that certainly Jews need to know about. I mean, a lot of Jews don't even know about the partisans. When I'm Jewish, and when I started working on this project and telling people about it, many of my friends, had no idea that they were partisans, Jewish fighters. And then just sort of flash forward to today, we can talk about this a little bit, but I've been to Vilnius twice. I've been to Vilna twice. And the last time I was in Vilna, I met a young Lithuanian activist who is actually going back and forth in the forest now and delivering food and medicine to Ukrainian refugees. So the forests in these areas are very, very dense. They're called primeval forests because they're just left alone. And they are definitely areas where people sort of act in sort of a soldier capacity.
So Kevin I'm curious about Vilna itself, the town. How much of it was impacted by World War II as far as its population? Is it mostly, at that time, was it made up of people trying to get away from German occupation? What was the population of Vilna like during and maybe a little bit prior to World War II?
Yeah, so there was a large Jewish population in Vilna. In fact, Vilna became kind of a refugee city for a lot of the Jews in the area. So there's thousands of people that are streaming into Vilna as this kind of safe haven, where war was happening all around them. I think the number swelled to around 80,000 Jews by the time the Nazi occupation happened in Vilna. But even before World War II, Vilna was this really thriving cultural center for Eastern European Judaism. It was known as the Jerusalem of the East or the Paris of Lithuania. So it was this almost bohemian community of artists and writers and creators and theater and publishers. And it just was this thriving cultural center, which was a huge part in the resistance that happened when the Nazis took over. All these artists and writers and poets believed that their creative work was a really important part of what it looked like to resist the Nazis.
Kevin, personal question, and I think you told me this, but you're not Jewish, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm not.
So how did you hop into this story? I mean, because were you looking for something in this vein? It seems to me, and this is naive if maybe a little bit, but it seems to me you wouldn't have an automatic attraction to this story just for a lack of understanding maybe the culture or the people, that kind of thing. How did you get tied to this potentially?
Yeah, I would say a couple things. First of all, I think the genesis of this story is more about the idea of creative resistance, about these songwriters and artists and poets who believed that their work and their creativity could make a difference in the world. And that was what initially grabbed me. And then as soon as I got more into the story, very early on, we knew we would need to bring on, some Jewish members of our creative team to help us tell the story, which, we reached out to different people and brought David and brought Lisa onto the team. And in some ways, I think we found a really cool balance between some different worlds that are all trying to tell this same story of humanity rising up and overcoming this oppression, overcoming this darkness, which is a story that I think any faith can relate to.
So Lisa, you mentioned you've been to Vilna a couple of times. You're in Los Angeles. How did you, one, get involved with this process being here in Kansas City? And two, had you been to Vilna before you got involved, or once you got involved, you wanted to go see exactly what you were writing about? How was that timeline like for you?
Yeah. So, well, in 2019, I went on a cultural fellowship that took me to Belarus and to Lithuania. And in the last day of my trip, I went with other writers and artists, and I had this idea that I wanted to find my next project, and I hadn't found it. It was like 10 days in, and I thought, I'm not going to find it. And then the last day, we were exhausted. It's hot summer in Lithuania, in Vilna, and we went into this apartment, the Soviet-style apartment of this 97-year-old woman named Vanya Bronzovsky, and she was a partisan fighter with the partisan brigade that we're writing about. And I was sitting across from this woman, looking into her bright blue eyes, and she, through a translator, and she's telling these stories. So I came back to Los Angeles. It was September 2019. I started to do some research on this subject matter, and I knew I wanted to go back, but then COVID hit. So I wrote a TV pilot based on her story, fictionalized, but inspired by. And then I decided in 2022, I decided that a friend of mine said to me, actually a friend who works at YIVO, which is the Yiddish Institute, and it's in our story, said you have to go and interview her before she passes away. So the Ukrainian war broke out, and then it was like, okay, how am I going to do that? Well, I ended up doing it. I took a small all-female team. We just watched the news and we're like, okay, we're going to go. So I went in 2019, then I went back in the summer, August of 2022. And at that time, David and Kevin were working on this workshop, the first workshop of this. And David was watching my social media and he was like, wait, what? You're in Vilnius? You're in Vilna? What is happening? Tell me everything. So I got back and it was just crazy. We say in Hebrew, there's a term, beshert, which means meant to be. And it sort of like was meant to be, David and I chatted about it. And then I met Kevin and they were looking for a new writer to bring on. And, just having been to these places, so I have I know the texture and just I've been there. So I can put all those details into the script. And it's just very exciting to sort of, I don't know how to, say it, but like kind of like not only see history come to life when I was in Vilnius, like it was coming to life in front of me. I was in the Jewish, the streets of the Jewish ghetto, and then see it come to life in an altogether new way through the art that we're creating. So it's just a confluence of different things sort of interweaving and working together.
I want to bring in David here. David, remind me, you're based in New York, is that right?
I actually live in Philadelphia, but I work often in New York, and I run a company there.
Okay. And personal question: I think Kevin mentioned this. You're Jewish yourself?
I am. Yes.
So, along the process, was it first Kevin that contacted you? How did you get pulled into this to direct this story?
Well, this is where I have to give homage to our Energizer Bunny, Kevin Cloud here, who contacted me, I think, 3 years ago. I run a company called the Jewish Plays Project that specifically develops new Jewish work. And so Kevin had seen that online and reached out to me and said, hey, this is who I am. I'm in Kansas City. I'm interested in the story. I'm going to write this musical. And I said, that's nice. Have a good time. And then 2 years ago, he called me again and said, hey, we've got a couple songs. We're moving forward. And I was like, great, good to hear. And then he just kept contacting me and he said, hey, we're looking for a director. We want to bring some people who are experts in Jewish culture into the team. And I actually suggested a couple other directors, but Kevin was like, no, I really think you're the guy. And so we continued to talk about it. And then I came out last August to do a 1-week workshop of the first draft of the script. And, first of all, you fell in love with Kevin and Allison because they're just amazing people, fell in love with Kansas City because it's really a great town and I'm a big barbecue fan, and really just fell in love with this story. And both Kevin and Lisa have said, it is a Jewish story. These are Jewish characters. These are people from a very significant moment in Jewish history where Vilna was also a religious center. There was a lot of great religious thinkers of the late 19th and early 20th century who were there. But it was this beautiful moment where faith and culture were overlapping in this really incredible way. Our characters were religiously knowledgeable, but not particularly devout. But they very much came out of a tradition that believed that their art was a spiritual endeavor, was a Jewish endeavor, and they very much believed in what they were doing. And so this story felt just incredibly resonant for our moment, for these young people. I mean, they were kids. They were 18, 19, 20 years old when they decided that they were going to take up arms and fight the Nazi regime in the middle of the war, and to resist in as many ways as they could. And I think we're in a moment right now that people are thinking about resistance. People are thinking about, how do we resist against large forces around us, and particularly young people. I have two sons who are 22 and 19. They're the age of these characters, and they talk a lot about how they want to fight back against the things that are happening in the world that they don't like. So it felt like this really incredibly resonant story. So all of that to say that Kevin was very persistent and dragged me in, and I was lucky enough to have worked with Lisa before. And as she said, it just felt like this is a perfect match.
Lisa, I want to ask you a little bit about tone of a story like this, because fairly or unfairly, but I think kind of fairly, if you say World War II era and we're talking about a Jewish story, there's an immediate darkness that is put on what you expect to see from a storytelling perspective, I guess is the right word. Like there are more sad stories, it feels like, from my perspective, than there are happy stories. When you put together and you write something like this built in that era, Lisa, what is the goal when it comes to tone? Because I understand that one of the main characters is a young woman. Tell me about the tone you're trying to reach in a show like this.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that obviously we have this time period in this setting, but we're also telling a story of young people coming of age during dark times. So I think mining kind of the youth aspect is important, and just reminding people that these were young kids, and just really looking for that human story that everyone can relate to is, I think, the most important piece of it. And the tone, I think when you have those characterizations against the backdrop of this time period, it's more relatable because they're real people, and they're people that we can either relate to because we were kids once, obviously, or if people are watching this, they'll find themselves in the characters. The other piece I want to say is that Kevin's music is very uplifting and hopeful, and it works with the youth aspect. So you've got these young people resisting, there's hope, there's inspiration, there's tenacity. So I think that we have really tried to carve out this story that is a really different kind of Holocaust story. We're really trying to show what it was like to live at this time, show the before. So we have like the opening scenes are Vilna before the war, to just give a sense of like the absolute vibrancy of these kids, of these artists and these writers. So I think people will be invested in these characters, out of the gate. And then obviously we have the backdrop of what's going on. And we've just really tried to calibrate it so that it feels balanced, and sort of, I don't want to say stay away from, the darkness. We don't stay away from the darkness, but we definitely want to make sure that we really, reveal the hope and the inspiration. And Kevin's songs really uplift this story in such a beautiful way. So when I came into the project, I had already heard many of these songs. Kevin enticed me with these songs, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're like already tearing up, and you're also like, yeah, you're like ready to fight. So it has both of those qualities to it. So I think people will be surprised in that way.
Kevin, let me hear more about these songs, because she just described two emotions there, tearing up and fist pump almost kind of thing of vibrancy, of vitality, of let's respond to this. What is obviously not every song is going to be the same kind of tone in a show like this. You're going to have different songs to approach different scenes and different characters. But as you're thinking of approaching a story like this musically, is there a word in your head of this is what I want to try to do? Do you think of the theme first or some piece of music? Tell me about writing songs for a story like this.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to your last question about tone, because that is a big part of the music as well. And as we've done this show in workshops or even just handed the script out, a lot of people have told us that this is a Holocaust story that they've never heard, right? The Holocaust story that people are familiar with in our culture is, taking a bunch of Jews and putting them on train cars and sending them off to concentration camps where almost all of them die. This is a story about a group of young people who rise up and resist and who survive. It's one of the few militarily successful campaigns that a Jewish brigade had against the Nazis. And, the Russian front on the east is advancing. And so that was a big part of it as well. But so it's a story about heroism and resistance and hope and choosing to live. One of our actors, after one of the original readings, said, this isn't a story about death. It's a story about life and choosing to live. And so the music reflects a lot of that. There's a lot of hopeful anthems. I mean, there's a lot of certainly there are 2 or 3 very sad songs that hopefully will really connect emotionally with this overwhelming sense of loss and darkness that these folks went through in this time period. But there's also there's a famous speech that Abba Kovner, one of our character, gives, where he says, "We will not go like sheep to the slaughter," and he kind of rallies the underground into fighting. And it's our Act One closer, and it's this big kind of emotional driving piece about trying to call people to arms and calling people to stand up and resist. And so there's also fun songs that have nothing to do with necessarily what's happening in the Holocaust, but just that capture moments of what normal people would be doing in normal times in a ghetto. And it didn't all have to do with finding food and surviving and make it the next day. Some of it is joking around with each other about what it means to be a young person. And so there's a wide range of songs, but ultimately what we tried to do is write a very modern kind of poppy score that would be relevant to today's audiences, but connect that with this traditional klezmer Jewish music. And we think we've really done a beautiful job of kind of connecting those two and made a really unique score that probably hasn't been done before. Fiddler on the Roof has been done and is beautiful and is one of my favorite musicals of all time. We didn't want to write Fiddler again because we couldn't have pulled it off, number one. But we wanted to find a musical style that kind of combined those two things. And I hope we've done a good job of that.
Lisa?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we've been able to include snippets of actual poetry and language from these characters, which tonally is really exciting. So poetry from Avram Sutzkever, who is one of our characters, who is a member of this group called Young Vilna, which is the name of this group of writers and artists. Some words from Abba Kovner. So that's been really exciting creatively to be able to weave in some of these actual words from these artists.
David, I want to bring you back in as the director here, and because your answer to this is really intriguing to me on a couple of fronts. One, my wife is a director and has directed shows, so I'm asking this partly for her because I know she's going to want to hear your answer to this question. But words on a page to the screen. The other part of this that's interesting to me is, as a television anchor, I have words in front of me of everything that I read, but there's got to be some sort of, my job is to deliver them correctly with whatever amount of feeling these particular words need or denote whenever we're putting this forward. I tell my producers all the time, whenever you write something, read it out loud so you can see how it sounds and hear how it sounds versus just being words on a page. Tell me about taking the words on a page as a director. Here's these beautiful words, these beautiful songs. I've got to put them on a stage with an element of, again, we're talking about tone a whole lot here, but what's your goal whenever you take a story like this and try to put it from words on a page to spoken word and song?
It's really exciting, and I have to give a lot of credit here to our cast. They're just a great group of of young artists who really are resonating with this story. Most of them are not Jewish, but they're really connecting to the center of what these characters are. They understand what it means to sacrifice for their art. They understand what it means to work really hard to make something happen. And they are just excited to tell this story. So there's a lot of energy on the stage. And that's a great place to start. You know, I mean, I had the great fortune, you know, like Lisa, I listened to the songs and I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's kind of interesting. And Kevin writes from a perspective that that a lot of folks who have approached sort of World War II stories, and particularly Jewish World War stories, don't. Comes at it with a different musical language and a different sensibility, and that's really exciting, right? That's something that we haven't seen before. But at the same time, Kevin was referencing our opening number that sets us up in Vilna before the war. He's also found some beautiful ways to incorporate some great quotes from things and elements of the sounds of the time in a way, you know, if it's not sort of blasphemous to say, but in some of the ways that Kander and Ebb did in Cabaret, which is set during the same time period, right? Vilna and Weimar era Berlin are similar towns. They're exciting cultural places on the verge of massive transformation. And with a lot of artists and a lot of faith and a lot of things that are happening at the same time. And combining those sounds is really interesting. And Kevin has done it in a way that's completely different than Kander and Ebb, but has done it in a way that I think feels very right for the stage. So you start with a lot of great material there in the songs. And then this is very much as we have very much focused on Vitka Kempner, another real person from Vilna who was a partisan and you know, I'm not going to say it here on television, but a really kick butt kind of person, really just somebody who was really forceful in the world and continued to be throughout her life. After the war, we focused on her, but this young Vilna group that Lisa was talking about, they are, you know, they're compatriots. They're a group. They sort of identify as we are going to do this together, and that energy really makes for exciting things on stage, right? The relationships amongst this different group, the way that people change, and the way that they go from being a group of teens, you know, messing around with art to becoming adults who understand that their words matter, that their words really matter in the world and have power in the world, even though they've gone through some terrible things. So there's a huge amount of emotional life here that gets expressed in our characters, expressed in the way that they move, expressed in the way that they speak, expressed in the way that they feel for each other. There's a lot of scenes where the whole group is on stage together, so they are experiencing all of the things as a group. And so when the Nazi occupation arrives, they experience that together, and they can cling to each other for strength, and they can stand up strong when they want to fight back. When they move into the forest, even before, as they are trying to inspire their fellow Jews in the ghetto to resist in the way that they get into some really interesting conversations about what does it mean to resist. And there are different types of resistance. There's their very active artistic resistance and their eventual military resistance, but there's other kinds of resistance that involve faith, that involve trying to shield other people, that involve staying with family, that involve all of these other ways of finding a way to resist against the force that you're against. And those dialogues, right? Those dialogues amongst this group of Jews who have different opinions about it. Some people think, hey, we should try and work with the occupation as much as we can so we can shield as many people from death as we can. And some people say, no, we need to take up arms, and if that means we're going to die, that's okay. And that argument is really resonant, and that conversation is really resonant too. And all of those things really provide the emotional ground on which these characters are standing. So what I'm doing with the actors is saying, okay, what is the thing that you really care about in this moment? What is the thing that you are trying to get? Because it's a high stakes story, right? Everybody is at risk. Their life is at risk in this moment. So when the stakes are that high, how you choose to respond is very physical. It's very in the moment. It's very real. And finding that with the actors gives us a really exciting stage language. It's also in many ways a sort of an adventure story, right? It's a war story. These folks are actively engaging in military resistance. So there's all of these plots that are just compelling to watch. What's going to happen? Are they going to be able to accomplish this mission that they're on? And are they going to be able to pull off all the subterfuge that they do? And I think there's some, going back to your question about tone, there's something really exciting in that audience members, I think, can lean into. Yeah, we all kind of know in the back of our heads what some of the eventual results are. But right here in this moment, we go, oh, look at you. You are fighting against this force. You are trying to smuggle in a book. You are trying to smuggle in a weapon that will advance your cause. And that is really exciting to watch on stage. So all of that for me sort of creates a language of how are these people going to move? What is the pace of the show going to be? How are we going to create that sense of urgency? And then at the same time, how are we going to leave these moments of really beautiful music and beautiful emotion where things change, right? Where information comes in about some of the things that are happening outside of Vilna. These are not folks that are in a concentration camp. They're still in the city that they loved and that they lived in. They've been forced into a ghetto, but they're still there. And they start to hear some information about what is happening outside of the city. And that changes them, and it changes their tactics, and it ups the stakes. So I think all of that makes for a story that we hope that will lead audiences to lean in, to want to know, hey, what's going to happen next? And I think that's a really exciting place to be. As a director, it gives all these possibilities for how the characters are going to relate, how they are going to move, and how the show is going to propel and connect with an audience.
This last thing I want to ask all three of you about is a little bit in the weeds, and I'm not even certain I like the way I'm going to ask this question. But I'm going to start with you, Kevin, and it's on the concept of the intersection of faith and art. And this is it's a faith podcast. It's called Faith in KC. That's what the issues have been about. That's why I have you guys on today. I'm a person of faith. I've said on every episode we've done of these, I've raised in the Church of Christ. When I think of faith in art, I think of the thousands of classical examples, especially from a Christian perspective, I can think of specifically in physical artwork, whether that be painting, whether it be sculpture, something that I can see that is stationary, that depicts a something or other, faith-related, biblical-related in my case. My thought process of faith in art when it comes to performance art is not as strong, for lack of a better term. Like there's jokes in the Christian community, for example, of, well, Christian music, Christian rock music, Christian whatever music, and good luck. It may be bad, it may not be great. So, Kevin, I want to ask you first, and I want all three of you to answer this question, but just that intersection of faith and art, of what you hope it can be when you do something like this, what you think it should be, however you want to answer this. It's kind of open-ended for all three of you, but what do you want the intersection of faith and art to be when it comes to this show and what you're trying to show people?
Yeah, actually, I love that question. I think I would answer it by saying that I think our greatest hope is that this story would teach people what it means to be fully human. And that these people in this story were people that we could look up to and emulate and learn from and be inspired by and teach us how to live a better life today. And I think that's, no matter what faith it is, I think that's the purpose of faith is teaching us how to live more fully human, how to live a more loving, more kind, more generous life. And the people in this story embody so many things that I want to be true about my life, and that I hope that people that come see our show, they leave the theater thinking, I want that story to be true in my life. I want to be a person who resists the darkness. I want to be a person who believes that my work and my words can make a difference in the world and can impact the world in a positive way. And I think that's the aim of almost every major religion and major faith. I also would say I love the idea that these were real people and that we are sharing their stories as a way to inspire other people to learn from them, to grow from them. One of the journalists or the diarist from Vilna had this beautiful diary, and he was actually killed in a really tragic story, but he was killed, and he said, if I have to die, hopefully my words will live on. And I think that's what we're trying to do with this story is let this story live on, let these words live on, so that they might inspire people to live more human lives, more inspiring lives, more lives that are more about being the kind of person who believes that they can make a difference in this world.
David, same question to you on that intersection of faith and art, especially as someone who shares a faith with most of the characters in a show like this.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. For me, I always think that faith and science and art are all doing the same thing. They're trying to understand the things that we don't understand. They're trying to aspire to say, there's things in the world that we don't get, and let's see if we can work on it and learn more. And in this specific story, I think YIVO is a great example. YIVO is the Yiddish Institute that Lisa was talking about. YIVO was founded in Vilna, and it was a repository of Jewish culture, and that included immense numbers of faith documents, rabbinic writings for thousands of years, Torah, scrolls, other objects of faith, but also cultural writings, poetry and literature and music. And it was all collected there in Vilna. And then when the war came, there was a great effort around the world to get that stuff out. And much of it was able to move, not all of it, but much of it was able to move. And now YIVO is in New York. It moved to New York in the 40s and still is there. But that building, and in fact, there is this beautiful scene that Kevin and Allison and Lisa have written when two of our characters get to go into the YIVO archives, because the Nazis were actually raiding them and trying to take some documents, see Raiders of the Lost Ark for some of that information. But there's this great scene where they get to go into this place, and it is to them a sacred place. Again, they're not necessarily enormously religious, but it is a place where the word, this for Jews, we are often referred to as the people of the book. Like, the word is all, and so they go in with the understanding that these religious writings and these cultural writings, Shalom Aleichem and the Rabbi, the Vilna Gaon, one of the great rabbis of Vilna, those are both incredibly important things. They are both equally important, and they need to be saved. Those things need to be saved. Whether they survive or not, these books need to be saved. This faith, this connection needs to be saved. And I think that's a really incredible place to be, that they understand that all of this work, their artistic work, and all of these things, Jews spend a lot of time. It happens to be Passover right now. We just had the Seder the other day. We like to tell our stories, old stories. We spend a lot of time thinking about a very long span of history. And for these folks, gathering all of that together, all of these writings, all of this thought, right? All of this aspiration to understand, if you're a theist, if you're a person of faith, to understand God, or even if you're not, to understand all the things that we don't know, collecting all that material, saving that material is so important. It's even more important than their own lives. And that takes faith, right? To write something down and say, I may not survive, but maybe my words will. You can believe in God or not. That is an act of faith. And I think that's a really powerful thing for people who are of faith. They're going to recognize that and understand. They're going to understand what that feels like. But even for people who aren't, they're going to go, okay, I feel how important that is to those characters, and that's going to mean something to me.
Lisa, same question to you there on that intersection of art and faith, especially, like I mentioned in the question, about maybe the difference between physical artwork that leaves a lot open to the interpretation of the person who's viewing it. I can look at a painting or a sculpture that is faith-based or about a faith-oriented topic, and I can take what I want from it. You've got to write words along this vein that is less open to interpretation. These are the things I'm going to say, and it's for you to ingest them. That intersection of art and faith for you as the writer of something like this.
Yeah, I love that. I was an art history major, so I looked at many of those images and I actually draw upon some of those in my writing as well. I think that there's so many intersections of faith and art in our piece. Poetry is in our books of faith, and from poetry, we create images in our own mind as well. So we might have an iconic image to look at, but then through words, we also create imagery in our minds and in our imagination. And I think this piece, this work that we're creating, will work on those levels for the audience. And I think that, one of the things that both Kevin and David were speaking about, Avram Sutzkever is one of our characters, and he's a poet, and he is visited by an angel, and he talks about this, that an angel of poetry came to him and said, if you write a poem every day, I will look out for you. And Kevin has written the most beautiful song called Give Them Beauty. And this relates to what David was talking about when they go to YIVO and they decide to save these books. And they're called the Paper Brigade, which you may have heard about. There have been movies made about it. And there was a piece on 60 Minutes recently. They're still finding works that the Paper Brigade hid and buried today. So I think that there are these moments in our musical where this light in the darkness theme runs through, and it's very emotional. You're sitting in your seat and you're watching this stage picture that David has created, and the words and everything's coming to life. So I think that it's a very sensory experience, and I think that the intersection of faith and art is embedded in what we're doing.
Well, I hope to get a chance to go and see it, and I think that's you've all painted a pretty great picture, not to pardon the pun there, of what an audience can expect to see, can hope to see, can walk away from with this kind of production. Coming up later this month, it's at the White Theater here in Kansas City, and I think it's going to be a pretty incredible chance for people to go and see that. Thank all three of you for obviously your work in putting this together and for talking about it with me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's an honor to be with you, Taylor. Thank you.